Hey there, I'm Kane Rains and welcome to my basement. Today we're looking at another comparison of turtles, that being the 87 Pizza Club Raphael from NECA and then the 2012 Raphael from NECA. So we're going to open them up, starting with the 87 version and then see how they compare and what they got going for them. So here is Raphael out of his case. This 87 version, like the other two 87 versions we've looked before, is, pretty good looking. It captures that cartoony aesthetic really well, and it's got that vector shading where it's lighter and then darker. The other turtles have used that as well, I just haven't pointed it out. But as far as accessories go, like the other brothers, he's got his own pizza, jelly bean and pepperoni, TV guide. For you youngsters out there, they used to print these. I don't know if they still might, but they used to print these, and they would have like the next week of cable for whatever channels you'd have in your area, and that was the only way you could know what was coming up for a long time. Then we've also got his tape, like the other 287 Pizza Club. They all have their own color-coded tape, so great. I do not know what this bird is from. I am sorry. Someone let me know down below. It looks like it has a key on its chest and very red eyes, which makes me think it's probably like a robot, but it's probably not. So, yeah, if someone could remind me what that bird is from, I'd appreciate it, but it's an okay bird. Yeah. His alternate head is, it is a full head. You have to take this head off to get it, but it's from one of those scenes where they're making pizza and the dough falls over their head. So really, you could use this with any of the 87 turtles, and it would be appropriate. But Raph's the one it comes with, and which means he is left with his angry face, which even though it wasn't as big a thing at this time period that Raph was necessarily the angry one, of the four, he was the angriest. He was more sarcastic, at least in the early seasons of the 87 show. But if he's only going to have one expression, then I'm okay with Raphael being the one that's the angry one. I still wish that he had a more general face. Same with Donatello, because, this figure is always angry now, and, that's that. He's also got his two Psy, and for once, I don't have any problem getting them in. They don't have specific holders, I think, because he just kind of slid them into his belt. So I think you can just put them on there. But for now, I'm just leaving it in his grip. He's got the same basic maneuverability, flexibility, and posability as the other 87 turtles we've seen so far. So there's not really much to say there. I will note that for whatever reason, these lines on his snout or nose or whatever you want to call it stand out a lot more than the other figures. So I don't know if I just got one from a bad batch of the line or something, but it wasn't something that I saw on the others. So that's a little disappointing. And then he's also got, this is probably just mine, but the paint job here and there is not great, but especially on his R. Otherwise, I don't really see anything that stands out. There's, all of these figures will get markings here and there, but for the most part, they're all right. So I don't really have a problem with anything with him, except maybe on his snout. I don't know why those lines are the way they are. And now, even though he was standing up until now, he doesn't want to do it again. There we go. So as far as his accessories go, the only one that I kind of have an issue with is the bird, because maybe I'm just forgetting the most iconic Raphael episode, but I do not remember that bird. So let me know, again, if you remember what the bird is from and how it connects to Raphael. But yeah, so that's our 87 Pizza Club Raphael. Let's grab the 2012 one and see how it compares. So here is 2012 Raph out of his box, and I think he looks pretty good. Raphael is generally my favorite turtle, so I'm happy that this one is pretty good looking in the grand scheme of things. And, this is, I mean, looking at him compared to the other 2012 turtles we've looked at in the last couple days, it's clear that they've got the style down. He's going to have the same issues the other ones did with, some of the posability, especially at his wrists and ankles, is cut down by the style. But on the whole, they capture him being a grump. And unlike a lot of the other figures we've looked at recently, he can hold his weapon without needing it to be pried into his hand. And then he's also got, as you probably saw a second ago, he's got a place to hold his sai on the back. So bonus points to him for out of the box, working better than some of the other figures we've looked at so far. Other accessories he's got besides the sai, he's got his serious head, and he's yelling because, at this point in the TMNT lifespan, Raphael was the grumpy one. I know in the follow-up series, Rise, he'd kind of stopped being grumpy, but they're back to that with the current series, and we can talk about that series at another time. But at this point, he's the grumpy one, the angry one, whatever. So I think this face works with his serious face, but I'm also not going to make it his default one. He's also got 2 just straight up fists, which are nice because the other turtles didn't really get fists. They might have had hands that were less open, but it's nice to see a little bit uniqueness. And then open hands, general open hands. So, great. He's also got the same 3 that we've seen in the last 2, being the turtle comb, the pizza slice, and the smoke bomb, which I know they all carried it, but it is a little irksome to see these same exact things carried over repeatedly. Maybe if they all had a belt pocket for the turtle comb, and maybe the smoke bomb, I'd feel a little better about it. But since they don't, I'm just kind of annoyed at this point. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. He's got this roach with some tech on it, and I believe this was like a spy thing that Donnie made tied to a roach, but part of it was that it's revealed that Raphael's biggest fear in this series was roaches. So when this roach gets mutated along with his tech that's attached to him, it became a whole to-do. And then we've also got, for Raphael's little buddy, we've got this series' version of Tokar, or Toka, I believe, because Tokar was the mother who was actually like a outer space kaiju who eventually flew to Earth to get her baby back. So for a while, Raph just had this little buddy because his previous little buddy became Slash. And so Raphael's not allowed to have permanent little buddies in this series. They just keep mutating or getting picked up by their outer space mom. But I like it. It's cute, and it captures the look from the show. So that's, there's not much else to say about him that we haven't already said before about the 2012 figures. I do think he's probably my favorite so far. He's the most, solid. And when I took him out of the thing, it's kind of ironic because I think he's got the thickest neck, if you can't tell. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird looking. But the more I look at him, it's like, yeah, that with his body shape and his tough guy approach, that fits. So I'm pretty happy with him, especially since, like I said, Raphael is usually my favorite. Sometimes Donnie, but usually Raphael. I was really into the color red as a kid, and it's still one of my 2 favorite colors. So there's that. But anyway, so that's 2012 Raphael. Let's compare him next to the 87 one and see how they look. So here are our 2 cool but rude dudes. They are much closer in size to one another than the previous 2 comparisons we've done between 87 and 2012. And that's just because Raphael was on the shorter side in that series, sort of giving him a Napoleon complex kind of deal. So that makes sense that he's closer to his 87 counterpart. As far as differences between them, like comparative-wise, I think I'm going to give it the 2012 as my preferred figure. Especially since not only his hands, but his belt actually has working holds for his weapon, whereas out of the box, only Raph 87's hands worked, but he doesn't have anything on his belt. And yeah, I mean, there's good and bad with both of them. They're very close. Like, neither of them's a bad figure. Again, I do wish we had a more neutral head for the 87 one. And I know other figures that you can change out the features for exist, but my wallet is not infinite. So unless NECA, you're listening to this and you want to send me stuff to review, I'll do it. I will do it, and I will stick other heads on him, and I'll see how it works and all that jazz. But until that happens, I just can't, promise you I'm going to pick up every figure where I could make the perfect expression that I'm imagining for. But because he's got an open mouth, I've filled it with pizza, and I will not apologize for that. It's his favorite pizza. He's going to eat it. So, anyway, I'm pretty happy with these two. I'm happy they both hold up pretty well compared to the previous two figures from each of their lines we've looked at. While I believe those other figures were good, I think in some ways these were the two best of the two lines so far that I've talked about with you guys. So you can let me know down below if you think that I'm wrong there, but at this point, the only thing left to do is take them to the shelf and see how they get along with everybody else. Probably not well, just knowing who they are. All right, so here we've got our new setup. Well, it's not very different, but we've got 87 Raphael chowing down, while 2012 Raphael tries to figure out how Toka got all the way up there. These two join our little sewer scene as everything else is still going on that's been going on since earlier this week. But yeah, I think it's coming along nicely. I want to get some other stuff going on out here, but we got one more turtle brother before we can start diversifying this scene a little bit more. So let me know down below if you've got either the 2012 Raphael or the 87 Pizza Club Raphael, and if you like them or not. And let me know what you're thinking of the scene so far. Do you think it's too much going on, not enough? I hope not enough, because I've got a lot more I'm going to stuff in here. And it might mean changing some of the figures around. It might mean alternating them out here and there. But I think it's coming along nice, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter. But regardless, I hope you had a good time in my basement today, and I'll see you in the next one.